Hello everyone, happy Halloween! My name's Cliff and welcome back to my channel. This is Cliff's Dark Gems. Today I'm going to be doing the Spooky Skeletons book tag, and this was created by Nicole's Bookish Nook, and I was tagged by Bad from Bad is Rad. Stay tuned. Okay everyone, before we begin, just a quick announcement. I'm having trouble replying to people's comments, but not to worry, I'm sorting it out, I'm on it, so just be patient with that please. Secondly, I've got quite a backlog of different tags that I need to do. I think it's appropriate that this was next in line. The Spooky Skeletons book tag for Halloween. Right, let's get going. Prompt number 1, Witchy Mayhem. Name a book you loved or hated about witches. Now, to be honest with you, I haven't read a great deal of books that deal specifically about witches, but one I have read that was not so great. I wouldn't say hate, that's a bit of a strong word, but that is Anne Rice, The Witching Hour. Now, this is a big, thick book. It's over 1,000 pages, and I just found it very long-winded, kind of wordy. I know that it's beloved amongst a lot of Anne Rice fans and fans of kind of Gothic literature, but I've just found it a little bit too much. And it's about the Mayfair family of witches and the detail that they go into with the family, the history, the background, the characters. It just was a bit much for me. It's not to say that I won't pick up again sometime. I know that a lot of people love it, and maybe the second time around I might enjoy it. But yeah, this book just wasn't for me. That is The Witching Hour. And that is one witch flat on her face right there. So I think it's appropriate to start off with this one. Okay, prompt number 2 is The Pumpkin King. A fiction book about a spooky main character. Now, not so much about a spooky protagonist. Don't think there are that many. But I'm going for a very spooky antagonist. And this is a book, I could have chosen quite a few, but I decided to go for one of Stephen King's books that are perhaps less well known, not as loved as some of his other more classic books, and that is a sequel to The Shining, and that is Dr. Sleep. Now, I actually really love this book. I think it's incredibly underrated, and I think it's got one of the most underrated villains out of all of Stephen King's villains, and that is the sinister, ghostly Rose the Hat. Now, she is almost like a psychic vampire. She's part of this group called the True Knot, and they go around America in these camper vans, pretty much disguised as your normal, everyday, middle-aged to old-aged person, and they prey on children with The Shining. And what makes them so sinister is that the way that they torture and hurt their victims before sucking in this energy. Basically Rose the Hat is the leader out of all the group, and she's just a terrible, evil, twisted person. So I think, yeah, she's very much an underrated Stephen King villain. Very spooky, very disturbing, and that is Rose the Hat from Dr. Sleep. Next up we have prompt number 3, which is Orange Fever, a book with the word orange in the title or orange on the cover. Now, there's a great deal of books that I could have chosen here. I decided to go for something completely different, and this is an excellent compilation. And that is Fairy Tales, Stories of the Grim and Gruesome, edited by Stephen Jones. Now, there's a gorgeous cover. And yeah, it's retellings, fairy tale retellings of the Brothers Grimm and fairy tales, but it's by some very well-known horror authors such as Ramsey Campbell, Neil Gaiman, okay, he's more dark fantasy, Kenneth Lee, John Lindqvist. We're going to get to him a bit later as well. So yeah, actually I've only dipped into it. I haven't read the whole book yet, but it's fantastic. And yeah, beautifully illustrated as well. Look at some of these illustrations. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous book. Yeah, one of my prized possessions, I suppose. That is Fairy Tales, Stories of the Grim and Gruesome. Prompt number 4 is Ghouls and Ghosts. A book you love about ghosts and ghouls. There's only one that comes into my mind immediately. And really, if you guys have not read Neil Gaiman, you need to pick him up. Anything you'll pick up by him is probably going to be gold. And this is the YA book, the Graveyard book. But don't be fooled. This is a book perfect for horror lovers of all ages. And it's just stunning. And it's about this young child. Parents get brutally murdered. And he gets taken in a graveyard. And he's looked after by ghouls and ghosts. And also this vampire is almost like a grandfatherly figure to him. And he gets taught the ways of the graveyard. So this is just an absolutely magical story. One of my favourite by Neil Gaiman. And yeah, also beautifully illustrated. And yeah, if you get a chance and you haven't read Neil Gaiman, you haven't read the Graveyard book, pick this one up. Okay, prompt number 5 says Horrible Horrors. Your least favourite horror, thriller or mystery book. Now, I don't normally like to pay too much attention to the books that I really didn't enjoy. But there was a book that I read this year that I DNF'd by an extreme horror author, Ross James White. Got about halfway through and then I put it down. And that was A Resurrectionist, which I did talk about in other videos. So I'm not going to say too much more about that. Except, yeah, it just got too much for me. I didn't enjoy the story, which helps with extreme horror. I need to have a good story. I need to be in tune with the characters. If that doesn't happen, then I'm going to put it down. Otherwise it just becomes this torture thing, and yeah, I don't really care. So that is A Resurrectionist by Ross James White. Another one on Kindle, prompt number 6, Gothic Wonders. A favourite Gothic themed book you've read in the past 5 years. Well, this is the book I've read this year, and I gave it an extremely good review, which I might link at the end of the video. Let's see. And that is We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. Now, this was after being disappointed in The Haunting of Hill House, but I'm willing to give that another go now. And We Have Always Lived in the Castle is just such a creepy, eerie, unsettling tale. And it's just so original and so well done. It's just a very creepy family with dark secrets, murderous secrets. And so yeah, really, really thoroughly enjoyed that. And it's worth checking out. We've Always Lived in the Castle. Prompt number 7, Magic and Potions. A fiction or non-fiction book about magic and potions. Now this is a horror channel. I mean, I could just go with something that's pretty obvious. That is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. But this is a horror channel, so although this is actually a very good series, we're not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Okay, now I wasn't crazy about this book either, but yeah, I think it's a little bit more suitable for this particular answer. It is about these two magicians in, I think it's 19th century England, and it's kind of almost like an alternative history, and they go to war with one another, and they like the last two magic users in the world. In fact, when the one comes up, magic has been long dead. But it was written in such a way, in such a style, that I found a little bit frustrating. It's also very, very, very long. I might pick it up again sometime, just like I did with The Witching Hour. There's probably more to it than meets the eye. Maybe I didn't give it a good enough go last time. So yeah, that is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, two wizards practicing magic. Prompt number 8 is another witchy one. And this is about black cats. A book about cats or a book with cat as a side or main character. Okay, now I've got two for you here. First, let's look at another YA by yet again Neil Gaiman, Coraline. Now this is a stunning story. This is one case where I'd actually say the movie is better than the book. If you haven't seen Coraline, do yourself a favour. It's absolutely magic and the special effects are stunning. Now, this is basically the story of a girl who goes into, she's basically unhappy at home with her mother and father, and she finds a little kind of rabbit hole, and she goes into that rabbit hole, and she finds a house that looks just like hers, except everything is better. And parents that look just like her, except they're much better in terms of the way they treat her. Difference being is that they got buttons for eyes. And the garden's better, everything's perfect. But yeah, this is a very creepy, eerie little story. Once again, it's YA, but adults will still love this book. And that's Coraline. And you can see the cat on the cover as well, which is her friend, who can talk in the other world. And another one for adults, very much for adults only, and that is none other than Pet Sematary by Stephen King. Now, basically here you've got a cat that has come back from the dead. Not going to say anything more. You want a zombie cat? You've got Church, the zombie cat. That is Pet Sematary. From number 9 is Spooky Scary Skeletons, a book that sends shivers down your spine. Now, there's so many that I could have chosen here as well. Here's a video that I'm going to be doing with Bad is Rad. We're going to be doing a review of a book called The Black Farm, which is an extreme novel, which both of us absolutely loved. We did a buddy read together, but I'm choosing something different. And this one really is spine-chilling, terrifying. And that is Let the Right One In. Now, John Lindquist I mentioned earlier, I've read quite a few of his books now, but this is by far the best. Vampire story, very dark, very bloody, very terrifying. At times, because it's set in the middle of winter in Sweden, very depressing. But yeah, absolutely sends shivers down my spine. And well worth a read. That is Let the Right One In. Okay, now it says tag people. Now I'm not sure how many people have done this tag. I've seen it actually come up quite a few times now on BookTube. But I'm just going to tag a few people. If you've done the tag, then yeah, if you haven't done the tag and you want to do this tag, go for it. Of course there's no obligation either, no pressure, but let's see people doing this tag. I tag Sin's Book Nook, Jess Book Girl, Please Read Your Book, and Elizabeth Sagewood. So yeah, if you've done this tag already, just ignore that, but those are the 4 people that I'm tagging for today. But yeah, that's it people. I hope you have a very happy Halloween, very spooky evening, and all the best to you. Take care of yourselves. Remember to keep those pages turning, and cheers.